Good morning to all. Today we have Dr. Mita Shah ma'am with us again for e-workshop over effect, personality development through effective communication. Mita ma'am, we welcome you again and request you to please ma'am start your session today.
A very good afternoon to one and all. And I'm really happy that I'm once here again a part of a workshop with Shivalik College of Engineering. And I'm thankful to the director of this college, Professor Sandeep Vijay sir. And at the same time, I'm very much thankful to Ashish Gupta sir also today.
Thank you
I
ma'am.
hope I have taken your name correctly this time. Um,
Yes ma'am.
so uh, I'm sure that this workshop is going to serve the objectives with which it has been proposed. So, shall we start with it, sir?
Yes ma'am, please.
Well, the topic selected for this workshop is personality development through effective communication. Now, personality is something that is a sum total of traits. We may include a lot of things when we talk about the personality of an individual. But with this workshop, we are trying to identify how important is communication for the development of one's personality. I would say that it is communication that adds the most to the personality of an individual. If we have good communication skills, we can reach heights. So, with this workshop, we are going to get a lot of tips on how to improve our communication skills, how to improve our English, and ultimately come up with an impressive personality. This quote expresses so much about the personality of a person. A person may be a good looking or not, but when we talk about creating an impression, it is a personality, the qualities that the person has, which creates an impression on the people with whom he or she interacts. So it is because of this that we need to concentrate upon the personality aspect of an individual. The objectives of this workshop, the basic points with which we have framed this presentation is that first of all, it is going to focus on improvement of our communication skills, which is the need of the hour. We are also going to get tips on how to improve English. I'm going to emphasize on the 7 C's of communication. Then, as every good thing has got some or the other negative things attached to it, so there are certain barriers which does not let communication be effective. So we are going to identify these barriers into the communication process. We are also going to learn how to overcome these barriers, and at the end there would be an assessment test just to know how attentive you were during this workshop. So we'll start with it. And I wish you a very happy learning and a transforming session. Transforming because it is going to take you from where you are to where you should be. Before we start, let us try to identify on this image. It expresses so much about an individual. When we talk about any person, we are either in any of these 4 zones. So we need to identify where we are, and from the initial comfort zone, we all need to move towards the growth zone. So when we talk about the comfort zone, it is that place or that particular level whereby we feel safe, we feel secure, we are comfortable in whatever we are doing. We do not want to add up anything to it. We do not want to learn new. We do not want to improve. And there are so many people who just spend their whole lives in being in the comfort zone only. Then comes the fear zone. Fear zone is where we have all the negativities with us. We lack self confidence. We find excuses not to improve ourselves. Like if I talk about myself, I have just feed it in my mind that I am poor at technology. I'm not that good at technology. So I just find excuses. कि मुझसे ये नहीं बनता, I would not be able to do it. So to a certain extent, I'm finding excuses not to learn something new, although I'm trying my best to overcome it now. Then we are also affected by the opinions of others when we are in our fear zone. Opinions of others means what people talk about us. We are so much affected by it that we just feed that into our mind and we start believing in that. अगर किसी ने हमसे कह दिया कि तुम ये काम अच्छे से नहीं कर सकते, so we start believing in that and we are so much affected by it that we do not want to give it a try. We do not want to learn anything. We do not want to learn new and improve. Then, once we overcome the fear zone, we reach the learning zone, whereby we learn to deal with challenges and problems. We are okay with the challenges and problems. It is something that is a part and parcel of life. Everybody has to face challenges. Then we try to acquire new skills because more the skills, more updated you are, more is your demand. So, learning new skills will never go waste. We want to extend to our comfort zone, means we want to, whatever we were comfortable with, now we want to step out of it and we want to be a better version of what we are. Then comes the growth zone. Growth zone is once we have learned things, we know what is the purpose of a life, we are very clear about our goals, we want to live our dreams. Then we set new goals. If we have achieved some goals already, we do not just say satisfied. We want to we set up new goals, and then we also try to achieve these goals. So we, every person needs to identify to which zone a person belongs to. It is only then that we can think about an improvement in ourselves. If we really want to improve ourselves, if we want to change ourselves, then in that case, these are certain tips. First of all, as we say, there are so many people who get affected by the opinion of others. So, first step in self improvement is to get rid of toxic people. Toxic people are the negative kind of people who are letting us down, who are feeding negativity into us. So, stay away from them because they have no place in our lives. We need to stay committed even when things get tough. We all face through tough times. The recent incident of the suicide of a very talented actor, Sushant Singh Rajput, I would like to mention that over here. If he would have just stayed committed and just taken this tough time as a challenge, he would have definitely overcome whatever he was going through. So similarly, if we want to achieve something in life, we need to stay committed. We need to keep working, working, working. No matter how many times we fail. We need to learn from our own mistakes. Mistakes are not to be repeated, but yes, mistakes are a learning experience. So we need to have this kind of mindset. We need to keep building our skill set, keep learning something new. Whatever new is coming, if you feel that it is going to help you out in any manner, keep investing in that, keep learning. Next comes, we need to invest in ourselves. By investing in ourselves, we mean we need to keep improving ourselves and we need to stay away from the noise around us. There are certain terms which we would be trying to emphasize through this particular workshop. One is personality. What is it that makes an impressive personality? Next, curiosity. Curiosity is the mother of all invention. So the more curious we are, the better learners we are. The next is presence. Whenever we are trying to make ourselves of any learning activity, there has to be presence. But let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, presence is of two types. One is mental presence and the other is physical presence. Let me explain this to you in Hindi to just make it a bit interesting. Suppose if I'm taking a lecture and you are physically present in a class, that does not mean that you are just understanding and following whatever I am saying. So this means that physical presence is there, but mental presence is not there. Suppose if you are understanding whatever I'm explaining to you, means you are physically present as well as mentally present. So whenever we talk about presence for any kind of learning activity, it has to be physical presence as well as mental presence. Next is inter and intra. Inter means whatever is happening around us, and intra means whatever is happening within us. Then, to improve our communication skills, we need to follow the LSRW process, which means we need to be good at listening, speaking, reading, and writing. If we just take this process seriously, we are definitely going to come up as outstanding individuals. Now, as this workshop is emphasizing on personality, let us try to identify what are the determinants of personality. Well, when I talk about these 5 points, these are the points that come from my viewpoint, from my perspective. This is not the technical definition of personality. But yes, if we try to focus on these 5 points, I'm sure we all would be in a position to come up with a better personality, or I would say an impressive personality. So the first step for a good personality is appearance. Appearance means how the person appears before us. We basically concentrate on the dress of the person, the looks of the person, and the hygiene aspect of the person. Dress means we may or may not be wearing something very expensive, but whatever we wear when we are moving out or when we are meeting anybody, it should suit us. It should be uh, as per the requirements of the organization or the place where we are going. Then, uh, as far as the looks are concerned, we all are blessed with looks, and this is something that we inherit. Even if we are not good looking, but if we carry ourselves well, we will appear to be good looking. And the hygiene factor, whereby one should smell good, one should uh, one should take proper bath and then move out. All these things, they really matter. Then the behavior of the person is also a very important part of anybody's personality. Behavior means how a person is behaving while the person is in the social scenario. If you get too excited while talking, or if you stay quiet, or do not speak, all these things, they add up to our personality. Confidence. Let me tell you over here, confidence comes from within. If you feel good about yourself, if you are happy the way you are definitely going to be confident. And to be confident, we should also have good knowledge. It is knowledge and accepting yourself the way you are which adds up to the confidence of a person. Now comes the most important aspect on which we are going to focus through this particular presentation is communication skills. It is a communication skills, that is how the person talks, how the person communicates is what adds up to the personality of a person. I would like to say over here, it is the communication skills of a person that makes or mars the personality of a person. And in the current scenario, we cannot skip the importance of English language. We need to know good English language or basic English language if we really want to excel as far as our personality is concerned. So, with all this basic introduction in mind, if we are just going to focus on for 6 months on whatever has been expressed by me through the initial slides, trust me, it's going to take us 5 years ahead in our life. How to improve our English speaking skills? This is a very important question that most of the students they ask whenever they enter the college, or whenever they're appearing for some kind of competitive exams, or whenever they feel like हमारी English बहुत अच्छी नहीं है. So if we really want to improve our English, we just need to concentrate on these basic points. First is, for improvement of English, we need a conversation partner. We need a person with whom we can talk to, so that at least if there is some person with whom we can talk to who is there to listen to us, definitely we will get an opportunity to speak, we will get an opportunity to express, and this is going to help us out in improving our English. Next is listen. We just need not be good at speaking, we also need to improve our listening skills. Listening skills also matter a lot as far as improvement in English is concerned. So when we say listening, we can listen to good people. There are so many videos available on YouTube. We can listen to good English songs, and more we listen to good people, good videos, good music, better we are at understanding the language. Next is record. Whenever you are supposed to express something somewhere, if there is some important occasion in your life, Try to speak and record. कि record करने के बाद then again listen to it. How does it appear? So this way we are going to get an opportunity to improve ourselves. We are also going to get an opportunity to identify where we are lacking. Next is we need to surround and practice. We need to surround ourselves with good people, good movies, good music, good books, and then we need to practice with our conversation partner. Whenever we are reading, we need to read aloud because when we read aloud, we are also learning the correct pronunciations of whatever way we are supposed to express when we speak in public. We need to talk to ourselves. There is a very good saying about English that is, you will learn English when you will think in English. So start talking to yourself. जो भी आपके दिमाग में विचार आ रहे हैं वो सारे विचारों को यदि आप इंग्लिश में लाना चालू कर देंगे तो आई एम श्योर आपकी इंग्लिश बहुत इंप्रूव हो जाएगी. So the tips from these points can be think in English. Next is talk to yourself. Use a mirror just to see when I'm talking, how is my body language going? How do I appear? How do I sound? Focus on English fluency, not grammar. English fluency is important, not the grammar part of English. Then we need to listen and repeat. We need to listen to good people, then we should try to recreate it. We should try to repeat it in our own words. We need to sing along to English songs. If you just sing along, listen to good English songs, then start singing along whenever you're listening to these songs. Definitely it's going to help you out. Learn words, word forms with new words. Keep learning. Try to find out new words, then how these words can be used in different ways. Try to use some common sayings. Then you need to tell a story from your language in English. This is a very good way. If you have any story with you which you would be better at expressing in your own language, be it Hindi or some regional language, try to tell that story in English. So this would give you a good connection between your thoughts and your fluency to speak. Try English tongue twisters. Tongue twisters are going to really help you out to develop a command over the subject. I have just got selected a few tongue twisters which may help you. Like this one. A big black bear bit a big black bug, and the big black bug bled black blood. If we just try to keep repeating it, we are going to get a command over the words, over the pronunciations, over the language. There's one more tongue twister. If two witches were watching two watches, which witch would watch which watch? How many cookies could a good cook cook? If a good cook could cook cookies, a good cook could cook as much cookies as a good cook who could cook cookies. Now, when we say communication, communication is the essence of existence of any person. Talk about anything in this universe, nothing can survive without communication. It's not just that we human beings, we communicate. It is the animals, the plants, everything around us is a part of communication. So this in itself expresses the importance of communication and how important it is for us to be good at communication. So what is communication? It is the process whereby we exchange our ideas, views, facts, feelings, etc. There are very good facts as far as communication is concerned. That is, people in organizations, they spend almost 75% of their time in interpersonal communication. Talk about any organization, whosoever is working in that organization, they spend 70% time of their work hours in just communicating with each other. And the root of large number of organization problems is poor communication. When we talk about unsuccessful or failed organizations, these organizations have failed just because they did not have a good communication structure within the organization. So communication is the need of the hour. This is the definition of communication. Communication means imparting, conveying, or exchange of ideas, knowledge, etc. So how do we exchange all these? By speech, writing, or signs. So communication is not just about speaking or writing. It is also about the various signs that we use while communication. The nature of communication. Communication involves plurality of persons. Communication cannot be done with oneself. we need two or more people to communicate. It is because of this there is so much of importance of people around us. Then there should be something to communicate. There has to be an existence of message. Communication is an ongoing process. It is never like that I have communicated today, so I'm not going to communicate tomorrow. Communication is something that will go on and on forever. Communication is a two-way process. Two-way process means I'm going to communicate something with the other person, and that other person is going to communicate back to me, maybe in the form of feedback or in the form of response. So it's always a two-way process between the sender and the receiver. Communication may be oral, written, or through gestures, that is, movement of eyes or movement of hands. Primary purpose is to motivate a response. The main aim of communication is to get something from the receiver of the message, the response in any form. Communication may be formal or informal. When we are communicating in a formal network, say setup, say we are communicating in an organization, then it's going to be if we are communicating with a senior, we just cannot communicate the way we want to. We have to follow a proper structure for communication. So it is an example of formal communication. Then comes informal communication. This is when we are communicating with our friends. We don't need to be very particular about how we are dressing up, what we are talking, how we are sitting while talking, or how we can just be ourselves. Communication may be vertical, horizontal, or diagonal. When we are communicating with our superiors, it is uh, upward communication. When we are communicating with our subordinates, it is downward communication. So, upward communication and downward communication, they come under the head of vertical communication. When two people belonging to the same status are communicating to each other, it is called as horizontal communication. And then comes diagonal communication, when person of one department belonging to a different level is talking to another person of another department belonging to another level. Say for example, if there are two departments in a college, let us take the example, civil engineering department and computer science department. So if an assistant professor of computer science department is communicating with the head of the civil engineering department, it is an example of diagonal communication. Communication is unavoidable. Communication is something that we cannot stay without. हमें हमेशा कोई ना कोई चाहिए जिससे हम बात कर सके, जिससे हम कुछ शेयर कर सके. Communication is a universal process. This is what I have just expressed. Talk about anything in the universe, everybody is communicating with each other. Communication is a social process. We all are ultimately social beings. We need to be accepted in the society. And to be accepted in the society, we need to express. For expression, we need communication. Forms of communication: one way and two-way communication. Like if I'm communicating with you today, and if I do not give you an opportunity to respond or to provide me feedback, it is an example of one-way communication. Two-way communication, when there is response, there is an opportunity by the speaker given to the receiver to respond, to express, and on the basis of that, they're going to communicate further. It is an example of two-way communication. Suppose if some leader is addressing a gathering, that leader comes, just addresses the gathering and moves off, walks away from there. It's an example of one-way communication. A teacher communicating in a class with a student, whereby the student is given an opportunity to come up with queries, to clear out the doubts. It is an example of two-way communication, जहाँ पर दोनों बोल सकते हैं. Verbal and non-verbal communication. When we use words for communication, either spoken or written, it is an example of verbal communication. And non-verbal communication, many a times we communicate, but we do not use words. So it's an example of non-verbal communication. Formal and informal communication, I've already explained this. Interpersonal and intrapersonal communication. If I'm communicating with one or more people, it is an example of interpersonal communication. But many a times it happens. Say, for example, I'm sitting in a room and I'm just sitting like this, lost in my thoughts. This does not mean that I'm not communicating with anybody. Here also I'm communicating, but with whom? I'm communicating with myself. It's an example of intrapersonal communication. Internal and external communication. When communication takes place within the organization, it's an example of internal communication. And when people of one organization, they're communicating with people outside the organization, it's an example of external communication. Say, for example, if the faculties of Shivalik College are communicating with each other, it's an example of internal communication. But if the faculties of Shivalik College are communicating with the faculties of, say, UPS College at Dehradun, then it's an example of external communication. Now, what is the purpose or objectives of communication? Why do we use communication? Many a times, communication is used to give some kind of suggestion. Say, for example, in an organization, if a particular employee is facing some kind of problem and the employee is looking forward to some kind of suggestions, then he's going to speak up about the problem to his superior. The superior would give some kind of suggestions. Communication is also used for persuasion. Persuasion means, say, for example, we women, we become a victim of this. Say, for example, if I go to a shop to buy some outfit for myself, and the shopkeeper just comes up and shows me a few pieces, and he says, "Madam, you need to buy this. Suits you. It's made for you. You look so good in this." Immediately, I'll be impressed. Wow, he's saying it. Definitely, it's going to suit me. I'll end up buying it. Maybe after coming home, I'll realize, "ये मैंने क्या किया? Why did I end up buying this?" But here, that shopkeeper, he persuaded me by speaking good things about me and the product, which led me to buy that product. Communication is also used to education. Is also used for education. Education is not just this formal education that we are a part of over here. Education can also be used to educate the people how to use a product. Say, for example, if I buy some bottle of shampoo, or if I buy a new mobile, how would I come to know how to use this mobile? This is an online platform, so I'm not able to see the audience, nor can I get a response from them. But yes, when I say education, and if I buy a new mobile and I do not know how to use it, definitely I'm going to read the instruction booklet, which is made available by any new handset. So when I'm reading that instruction booklet, what is it? It's basically communication from the manufacturer to the buyer on how to use the product. Communication is also required for raising the morale of the employees or raising the morale of people. Say, for example, when we talk about the organizations, most of the organizations, no matter what efforts are made by the management to keep their employees happy, to a certain extent, they have a negative morale for the organizational policies. So, through communication, this morale can be changed from negative to positive. I can explain this with the help of an example. Say, for example, if many a times what happens, we do not like a particular person, and if that person is appointed as our head, so if that particular person is going to say something to us, कुछ changes के लिए बोल रहा है कि आपको कल से extra time रुकना है या ऐसा करना है, हमारा हमारा जो भी behavior रहेगा, हमारा जो भी response रहेगा, it would be negative. Why? Because we have a negative morale. But if that person, if he wants, he can change this negative morale to positive. Say, for example, if the organization is planning to change the timings of the organization. So the head of the organization enters the meeting room and then he says that the organization has got a lot of work to be completed. So we have decided to increase your timings from 6 hours to 8 hours tomorrow. So you all have to come report to your workplace by 8 p.m., 8 a.m. and the departure time would be 4 p.m. So the employees are like, एकदम negative हो जाएगा. हम लोग क्यों 8 घंटे रुके? क्यों इतनी जल्दी आए? So how can he change it from negative to positive? He would say, management is very happy with your work. Whatever we are is because of you. पहले बहुत तारीफ कर देंगे. Then they would be like, but as we are having a lot of incomplete work with us, we need to increase the time for a few days. So आप लोग बताइए हम कल से क्या टाइम रखें. तो एम्प्लॉयज अपने हिसाब से जब बताएगी कि कल से हम ऐसा करते हैं, we'll come by 9 and we'll leave by 5. So he would say, okay, whatever suits you. So here, as the decision has been taken as per the interest of the employees, definitely the employees would be having a positive impact for the decision taken. Communication is also required for motivation of people. Motivation, we all need motivation to a certain extent. So how do we motivate a person? How do we elevate the performance of a person? Only by communication. Communication is not just used for these positive things. There are many a times when there are certain negative aspects also which are need to be dealt with. Say, for example, if a person is not behaving properly, not working well in the organization, a warning is to be issued. So for that also communication is required. Communication is required for providing advice and some kind of counseling to the people in the organization, for issue of orders, and for exchange of any kind of information. Importance of communication. Communication helps in proper planning. It helps in decision making, because whatever decisions are to be taken, for that we need to take the consensus of the employees, and for that we need to communicate. Decision के लिए हमें information चाहिए. Information जो है वो हम तक कैसे आएगी? Only through communication. So communication is the heart of any kind of decision making process. Communication helps in bringing coordination of various activities in the organization. See, in any organization, there are various departments. Say, for example, if there are departments in the organization, the purchase department, then comes the production department, and then the marketing and sales department. And suppose if there is no communication between the purchase and sales department and the production department, what would happen? They would get the stuff, they would keep it in their department. It would not be communicated that the stuff is already here. And because of this, the work of the other department would get affected. So communication has to be promoted, communication has to be incorporated. Otherwise, the functioning of any organization will get hampered. Communication facilitates better administration. For good administration, I would suggest any organization should follow the open door policy. Now, what is open door policy? Open door policy is that whereby any kind of employee in the organization should get an opportunity to just walk into the office of the head of the organization and communicate regarding whatever that employee is going through. If he always has to follow a particular channel to communicate, there cannot be good administration in the organization. Communication helps in creation of mutual trust and confidence. Why is it that whenever we are going through any kind of challenges in our life, we feel comfortable talking to a few people around us, or we have some limited friends for such kind of such times? That's because we have had such good communication with each other that we develop mutual trust and confidence, and we are in a position to share whatever is coming into our mind. To motivate the employees, communication is required. For building the morale of the employees, communication is required. It is communication that binds the employees of the organization or binds the people in a family together. It also facilitates effective control. It provides job satisfaction. It helps in selection of best employees. How? Whenever the selection of an employee is taking place, there is definitely going to be an interview round for the same. And when we talk about interview, what is interview basically? It is basically not just the test of how knowledgeable you are. It is the test of how confident you are, how well you can express yourself. It is this what makes the management select you for the particular vacancy. For interaction with the outside world, if we do not communicate, how would we know what all is happening in the outside world? And if we do not know what all is happening in the outside world, we would just be like people in the cocoon, and there would be no improvement in us. So if we interact with the outside world, we are in a position to improve ourselves. We are in a position to keep ourselves updated. Communication also helps in developing a good public image of the organization, even when we talk about families. In whichever organization or families there is good communication, it gets portrayed in the outside world and it helps them in building a good reputation. So, communication is the process when the ideas from one's mind are transferred to another's and a consensus is developed. Effective communication is needed to perform all the functions of management, and for effective communication, message is to be transferred with full clarity. Whatever be the level of management, it cannot function without effective communication. Now, what are the principles of effective communication? As the success of all work depends upon communication. So, the necessary conditions for effective communication are we need to understand correctly. And to understand correctly, we need to listen. We need to have patience. More patience we have, more better listeners we are in a position to understand things in a proper way. Next is clarity. Whenever the speaker is expressing the message or whenever the speaker is speaking, he should speak with clarity. He should neither rush nor he should be too slow so that the interest of the audience it just goes away. He should be such a person who is in a position to develop the trust of the audience. For developing the trust of the audience, we need to carry that kind of personality whereby people have that trust and faith in us and they are in a position to just accept whatever we are saying and they become our followers. Communication is effective even when there is friendliness between the speaker and the listener. Friendliness does not mean being informal. Friendliness means being open, giving good opportunity to express to the speaker as well. So if it is a two-way communication, if the speaker is a good listener also, definitely the condition for effective communication would be generated. For transmitting effective written and oral messages, certain principles are to be followed, which are called as the 7 C's of communication. And these principles were advocated by Francis J. Bergin. So let us try to understand what are these. The first C for effective communication is completeness. Whenever we are expressing ourselves, whenever we are communicating, we need to give complete information to the audience. If we give incomplete information, definitely some kind of confusion would be created, and confusion is not a very positive sign for effective communication. Conciseness is also called as brevity. Means कम बोलो पर अच्छा बोलो. जो भी बात आपको बतानी है वो कम से कम शब्दों में. You should always speak less and express more. Clarity. There has to be clarity whenever we are speaking. Like if I'm talking to somebody on the phone, the instrument should be of good quality so that my voice reaches the other person clearly. My voice should be such that it is clear for the listener to understand, to listen. And if I'm giving some kind of written message to the receiver, then my handwriting should be such so that it is easily, the person is in a position to read it easily and understand. Next is correctness. Correctness means whatever you are trying to express, please give correct information. False information loses your credibility as a speaker. Concreteness. Concreteness means there has to be some kind of factual information, figures, which makes the receiver of the message believe the sender. अगर आप कुछ concrete matter नहीं डालोगे, कुछ उसमें facts and figures नहीं डालोगे, तो जो भी उसका रिसीवर है वो आपका विश्वास नहीं करेगा. जितने फैक्ट्स ज्यादा होंगे उतना ही आपकी क्रेडिबिलिटी बढ़ेगी. Consideration means whenever we are communicating, we need to keep the receiver in mind, the audience in mind. Suppose अगर आज मुझे ये लेक्चर नर्सरी के बच्चों के लिए कुछ कम्युनिकेशन पे लेक्चर लेना होता, I wouldn't have followed this pattern. ना ही मैं इतने टेक्निकल वर्ड्स यूज करती. I would have taken some, I ज़्यादा pictures use करती और language भी मेरी, I would have used more of Hindi words and some kind of videos would have been incorporated because that is what my audience is. But as I'm catering to a comparatively grown-up audience over here, so I can follow this pattern of communicating with you. So always keep your audience into consideration. Courtesy. Courtesy means giving some kind of respect, some kind of honor to the receiver. That is the reason why when we are addressing, we always say, good morning, respected teachers, or good morning, dear students. When we are writing, we always address as with a salutation, respected sir, dear sir, and thanking you, yours faithfully, regards. Why are we using these words? Just because we are trying to show our courteous behavior, which helps us in developing a good impression on the other person. Besides these seven C's, there are certain other principles for effective communication which need to be kept in mind. Next is candid. Candid means be the way you are. Like if I'm communicating with you today, and if I try to uh, be made up, if I try to express myself like अगर मेरी बोलने का तरीका बिल्कुल मेरा नॉर्मल तरीका जैसा है वैसा नहीं होगा, मैं थोड़ा सा बनकर बोलने की कोशिश करूंगी, तो आई वुड नॉट बी इन अ पोजिशन टू जस्टिफाई द कम्युनिकेशन दैट आई एम अ पार्ट ऑफ. मैं बहुत अच्छे से एक्सप्रेस नहीं कर पाऊंगी. सो आप जब भी बात करते हो, बी नेचुरल, बी द वे यू आर. बहुत ज़्यादा हमें मेडअप होने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, बिकॉज वी आर accepted more when we are ourselves. Continuity. Whenever we are expressing, we need to say that we need to keep in mind that we follow the principle of continuity. मतलब पहले जैसे अगर हम आंसर्स लिखते हैं, फॉर एग्जाम्पल यदि हम कोई मैटर कहीं रिटन फॉर्म में एक्सप्रेस कर रहे हैं, तो वी हैव टू फॉलो अ पैटर्न. वी हैव टू स्टार्ट विथ इंट्रोडक्शन, देन वी कम टू द मेन बॉडी, देन वी end with conclusion. We cannot just start with conclusion, then introduction, then main body. If we are doing this, we are not following the principle of continuity. Same is to be followed when we are into oral communication. हमें पहले अपने टॉपिक को इंट्रोड्यूस करना है अच्छे से. We need to create interest of the audience. Then we need to come to the main body, and then finally we need to conclude of whatever we are trying to express. Timeliness. Timeliness means the communication has to reach the audience at the right time. Say for example, अगर मुझे आपको एग्जाम के बारे में कोई इंफॉर्मेशन देनी है, what is the right time to give information regarding exams? Not at the beginning of the session. यदि मैं शुरू में आपको बता दूं कि आपके एग्जाम इस डेट से, आप बिल्कुल अभी से पढ़ना चालू कर दो, what will never take it seriously. But yes, एग्जाम टाइम आने के वक्त यदि मैं आपको बोलूंगी, वो कम्युनिकेट करूंगी, कुछ टिप्स दूंगी, तो डेफिनेटली यू विल lend a listening ear. Selecting proper media. Depending upon the type of audience, we need to select a good media for communication. जितना अच्छा हमारा मीडिया सिलेक्शन होगा, उतना ही अच्छा हमारा impression होगा. There has to be principle of participation. Principle of participation means please promote two-way communication. If you do not let your audience speak, if you do not let your audience respond, you cannot end up with effective communication. So there has to be two-way communication whereby the audience should be given an opportunity to come up with feedback, to get a chance to clarify their doubts then and there. Communication can also be made effective through demonstrations and presentations. We can make some good demonstrations and presentations through which we can derive the attention of the audience. Now, what are the methods of communication? Communication has basically two ways for communication. One is verbal communication, that is communication through words, and next is non-verbal communication, that is communication without the usage of words. And let me tell you over here, it is non-verbal communication which has more of impact, and an intelligent listener or an observant listener will not just concentrate on your words, you will concentrate more on your non-verbal aspect of communication. Now, verbal communication is when a communication is used, takes place by using words. We call it verbal communication. It can be oral as well as written communication. Like now, I'm communicating with you. It is an example of oral communication by the help of spoken words. So it may take place by face-to-face contacts, communication through mechanical devices, like if I'm using a phone for communicating, that is also an example of oral communication. There are certain advantages of oral communication which can never be denied. First of all, it is the most effective and it is the most easiest way to communicate. Secondly, it helps in getting a very quick response. मैं आपसे बात कर रही हूँ फोन पे, immediately मुझे आपका response मिल जाएगा. So there is less wastage of time, and it becomes more effective because whenever there is face-to-face communication, we get an opportunity to use our non-verbal communication also. So through that, it becomes more and more effective. It is faster, it is flexible, because if there is something that goes wrong, it can be corrected, it can be changed then and there. And it is less expensive because written communication के लिए हमें बहुत सारे drafts बनाना, experts की help लेना, वो सब करना होता है. Here we can just go without it. But there are certain limitations also of oral communication. Like, first is that it is not effective when the distance between the sender and receiver is too much. Suppose if the sender and the receiver, they are situated at distant places and they have to use a phone, and if there is some problem related to the network, then this communication is not that effective. Then secondly, it is not suitable for lengthy messages, because whenever there are lengthy messages, when we want to give too many information in just one particular shot, oral communication is not a good option because it is very difficult for the audience to remember it. Next is, it cannot serve as an authentic piece of record, because suppose if I'm communicating with my subordinate, या मैंने किसी से कुछ बोल दिया कि ये काम कर लेना, and I just walk off, और वो काम नहीं हुआ, then how will I hold that person responsible for that particular work? Because I have no particular evidence कि मैंने कहा था उसको काम करने के लिए. So it is not very authentic. It becomes too time consuming many a times, because so many people, accumulating too many people at a particular place for just communication can be a costly affair. It may give rise to conflicts in certain situations because of immediate response. Many a times when we get immediate response, suppose if I'm telling something to you और आपको वो अच्छा नहीं लग रहा, आपने वहीं पे एक गंदा सा फेस बना दिया and you are not very happy about it. So it may, हो सकता है कि हमारी वहीं पे लड़ाई हो जाए. So अगर मैसेज कुछ इस टाइप का है where we know that there are chances of getting immediate response, I would suggest that oral communication should be avoided. And the biggest problem with people is inattentive listening. People are physically present, but they're not listening to whatever the speaker is saying, because maybe they do not like the speaker, maybe they are not happy with the content of the message. So if they are not attentive while listening, what would be the outcome? Communication would go waste. And it is not very helpful when the relations between two people are not good. If two people do not want to communicate with each other and they have to communicate orally, they will never come up with fruitful communication. So to overcome these flaws, we have written communication. For written communication, there is a very good saying by Sir Francis Bacon. He says that reading makes a full man, conference a ready man, and writing an exact man. This is so very explanatory. He says that the more you read, the better person you are, because you have so much of knowledge within you. And the more interactions you take, you make yourself a part of in the form of conference, in the form of meetings, you are a person who is in a position to be, you are a ready man, means you can just go anywhere and express yourself. But when we say writing, if you are in a position to express yourself through words in writing form, you are an exact man. So writing, the importance of writing cannot be left out. For writing well in any language, one should speak as the common people do and think as wise men do. If anybody has heard of Sudha Krishnamurti, I can relate to her when I read these lines. See, if we want to connect to the audience, if we want to connect to a larger number of people, we need to have a very good a mind that can think beyond, a mind that can think wise. But we need to express in such simple words that it is very easy for a layman to understand it. So think high, but express in a common man's language. And the principles of effective written communication are unity. You need to organize the words that you're using in such a way that there is a link whenever the person is reading whatever you are expressing. There has to be emphasis on certain words, and emphasis can be created by underlining certain words or by making those words bold or italics, whatever way. By emphasizing, we are trying to create importance to certain aspects in that particular communication. It has to be complete. Complete in the sense, whatever information you're giving, please give complete information. Incomplete information is never accepted. Clarity, there has to be clarity in the form of the language that is used and the way you are writing, or if you are typing it, it has to be clear enough so that the receiver does not have any problem in understanding it. Then it has to be concise. Here again, concise means using less of words and expressing more. Next is accuracy. Accurate information has to be given so that the receiver develops a sort of belief in whatever the sender is expressing. There are certain advantages of written communication which cannot be denied. First is it is accurate and precise. Secondly, it can be repeatedly referred to. If I have a written information with me and I have not understood it in just reading it once, I can read it again and again. It acts as a permanent record also because it can be referred to again. It can be used as an evidence also. Then especially whenever responsibilities are to be given, they have to be given through a written mode of communication only. It is easier to understand because many a times what happens, I may not be able to understand things in a group when I'm sitting in a group, but maybe when I'm sitting alone and trying to read it again and again, I would be able to understand. It has a wide access also because we just have to draft the information once and then you have to forward it to as many number of people as you want to. So it has a wide access. It is convenient because people do not have to accumulate at one place. There are lesser chances of distortion or the message getting distorted because whatever information has been drafted by the sender, it reaches the receiver in that form only. There are no changes in between. It is more clear, it is a cheap mode, and there is no scope for filtration over here. But again, here also there are certain limitations. First is it is time consuming because if we follow a very much written format in a written way of communication for our normal communication process in the organization or in the house, it is not going to help us out because it's going to be a very time consuming process. It's costly also, especially when we have to take the help of professionals to draft the messages. Quick clarification is not possible and work gets delayed because of it. It is not suitable for illiterate. It is not easy for every person to understand written communication. It leads to too much of formalism, and to a certain extent, I believe it is the organization man attitude that leads to emphasis on written communication. Immediate feedback is also not possible. There is excessive paperwork, which is not what is accepted in the current scenario. Then there is lack of secrecy because suppose if a person has sent a written message to somebody, there are chances that it may be read by somebody else. There are chances that it may be forwarded to somebody else, and there are chances that some issues may arise because of it. So if you do not want people to know about certain information, I would suggest better to go in for oral communication rather than following the written form. It may lead to confusion many a times. If the sender has not expressed the message well, it can lead to confusion. And this basically happens when we communicate too much through text these days. And what I have observed is यदि हम बहुत ज़्यादा messages के through communicate करते हैं, so there comes a point when there is some kind of confusion which is created. Ultimately, I have to call the person and settle it out. Otherwise, if I continue with the messages, there are chances that that particular confusion would remain. Written communication leads to permanent record, and permanent record is not something that is required all the time. Maybe I'm in a different mindset today. Maybe my mindset may change tomorrow. So once I write, that record is there. So that has to be avoided. And there is no personal touch. We just write and we forward. But when we are expressing through oral communication, we get a lot of chances for personal touch. Say, for example, if we go for shopping to a particular place, and if the salesman is taking great interest in showing things to us by communicating with us, there is personal touch. But if we are just sent a catalog and we are just asked to just go through the designs and select something, there are less chances of personal touch and less chances of the person buying a product. Judgment is also impossible. Now, ways of verbal communication. When there are certain ways through which we can communicate. For oral communication, face-to-face talk, telephonic talk, lectures, social gatherings, conferences, interviews, dictations, and instructions. And as far as written communication is concerned, this is the way it takes place in the organization through reports, magazines, circulars, manuals, newspapers, agreements, pictures, orders, rules and regulation book, and so on. The basic difference between oral and written communication is communication when expressed through words is oral communication, when expressed through writing is written communication. Oral communication may not be complete and difficult to understand, but written communication has more of clarity and not that difficult to understand. Written oral communication may not be taken seriously, but written communication is generally taken seriously. Suppose if I receive an order verbally, I will not take it seriously. But if I receive an order in writing, I will give my serious effort into fulfilling that. It is generally informal in nature. Oral communication comes under the category of informal communication, whereas written communication is normally formal in nature. Oral message is not verifiable. We can never verify कि हाँ ये इसने कहा था, कब कहा था, क्यों कहा था. There is no proof for that. But yes, there is a proof for written message, and it can always be verified. Messages can be exchanged very quickly through oral communication, but transmission through written communication takes a lot of time. Next comes non-verbal communication, which is the most interesting part and to be emphasized as far as personality is concerned. When we say non-verbal communication, this quote holds too much of importance. The most important thing in communication is to hear what isn't being said. So whenever we are communicating with each other, we try to express so much through words, but there is more that we are trying to express through our actions, through our behavior, which comes under the category of non-verbal communication. And a learned man will definitely try to concentrate on the expressions rather than the words. This explains so well. Whenever a learned person has said, I don't just listen to your words, I watch your face, I stare into your eyes, I check out your body language, I peep your tone, I make note of your use of words, I hear what you don't say, and I interpret your silences. So a learned man will concentrate on all these aspects when a person is going in for verbal communication. That is watching the face, eyes, observing the body language, observing the tone, whether it is high or low, make note of what kind of words are used, then there are certain things which we do not say, but it is there in our going at the backdrop of our mind, and they are well understood by the receiver. And many a times when we are silent, then also we are communicating. Our silence speaks too much. So types of non-verbal communication, they can be categorized under these broad 6 heads. First is kinesics. Kinesics is body language. The elements of body language are personal appearance, how the person is presenting himself or herself. Under this, we try to talk about the hairstyle, the clothes, the choice of colors, and so many things as far as the personal appearance of the person is concerned. Facial expressions. When the person is talking, a person may be making faces or maybe smiling or whatever. All these expressions are to be observed when we are talking about body language or kinesics. The position of head. Say, for example, if I'm sitting with my head held high, it shows that I'm confident. If I'm sitting like this, it shows I'm not interested, I'm tired, and I'm a little lazy kind of. If I'm moving my head too much, again it shows I'm not interested in the communication. So the position of head, it speaks so much as far as the communication process is concerned. Posture or body position. If a person is standing straight, the shoulders absolutely in the proper way, it means that the person is confident, person is well knowledgeable, and the person is very much energetic. But if a person is like this with drooping shoulders, it means person is tired, person is not interested, person has not practiced much regarding the particular subject on which he's going to speak. So all these things, again, they express so much. Eye contact. Eye contact holds a very important role. Suppose if we are communicating with anybody and we are in a position to look into the eyes of the person and talk, it means we are confident, and we are uh, if we are confident, and if somebody is trying to find out something from us and still we maintain good eye contact, means we are speaking the truth. Gestures means movement of hands. If a person is trying to movement of hands and body, if a person is trying to move, today only I was told by the uh, by a teacher, by a professor, that ma'am, your movement of hands is not very good as far as this online lecture is concerned, so I'm trying to keep a control over it. But movement of hands actually, it shows how interested we are in the communication process. Silence. Suppose if you ask me something and I stay quiet about it, it would give two meanings. First is I'm not interested, second is I have no knowledge about it. So silence also speaks too much. Next is in nonverbal communication, that is proxemics. Proxemics means the language of distance, space distance. How much distance is there? How much distance do we maintain with the receiver of the message? Distance is actually in four ways. First is intimate, personal, social, and public. Whenever we are very close to a person, like if I'm sitting with my son, just because we have that kind of relationship, I will be sitting very close to my son. That is an intimate. I'm sharing an intimate space with him. So when I'm sitting like this with my son, it would clearly express the kind of relationship I'm sharing with my son. Then comes personal distance. Personal distance means, say, for example, if I'm talking to my boss, I'm not going to get too close to my boss. I'm going to maintain a particular distance, formal distance. So this shows that I'm maintaining a personal distance with the. This expresses about my relationship with the person with whom I'm communicating. Social spaces, the distance we maintain in our social spaces, and publicly, when we are not very much acquainted with the person, we maintain a large amount of distance. Next comes chronemics. Chronemics is the language of time. That is, right information has to be communicated at the right time to create an impact. Next is haptics. Haptics is the language of touch. The way a person touches us, we come to know so much about that particular person. Next comes appearance. How a person is presenting himself or herself, the kind of colors the person has used. Then artifacts. Artifacts means if the person has used some kind of uh, person is wearing too much of jewelry, and the kind of watch the person is, the accessories the person is used. These all things would come under artifacts. And paralanguage is something that is not language but like language. Like language means when a person is communicating with the other person, we are not just concentrating on the words, the tone of the person, the pitch of the person. These also, they express so much about the communication. Suppose if I'm communicating to you और मैं बहुत जल्दी जल्दी बोलने लगूं, it means either I am nervous or I have to go somewhere, I'm in a hurry. These things are expressing too much as far as my communication is concerned. So no matter how good communication is, there are certain barriers to effective communication, and we need to identify these barriers. First is physical barriers. Whenever two people are communicating with each other, there may be problem of noise at the background, and if there is too much of noise, it leads to confusion and it does not impart clarity to the message. So we have to see that noise has to be avoided in any form. Then in proper time, we need to see that the right communication is communicated to at the right time. Information overload. If we communicate too much of information in just one shot, say for example, if I call the students in my class and if I tell them, कल 10 बजे एग्जाम है, आप लोग को व्हाइट यूनिफॉर्म में आना है, आप लोग को अपना घर से पेन लेकर आना है, घर से शीट लेकर आना है, you have to get your admit card, it will be you can download it by 6 p.m. today. I'm giving too many information in just one shot. So it's not easy for the audience to remember so many information in just one shot. So we have to see that we can avoid this information overload, give we just give relevant information at a particular point of time. Language barriers. There are language barriers are also called as semantic barriers. Now, words, many a times we use certain words in communication which have variety of meanings. Say, for example, if I use the word tube, tube can be used in different ways by people. Tube means a pipe that is used in the garden, that we use in the garden to water the plants. That is also called as a tube. Tube can be a test tube. Tube, many a time, many people they call a straw as also as a tube. So if I just say the word tube, how would that be taken? If I just say the word oil, oil can also be used in different ways. I'm not expressing which oil am I talking about, coconut oil, groundnut oil, which oil. So there are certain words which have a variety of meanings. We need to impart more of clarity to these words whenever we are using them. Many a times we express a message so badly that the other person is not able to understand it. So we need to see that there is proper choice or selection of words whenever we are expressing the message, and words should be such which can be easily understood by the receiver. Then the last problem is the specialist language. We all belong to a different kind of specialized area of specialization, and because of our area of specialization, we have developed certain words which are very easy for us to understand, but not for a layman to understand. Like I'm a commerce student, so words like debit and credit would be very easy for me to understand and interpret. Like debit means balance is going down, and credit means balance is going high. But similarly for doctors, like I prefer to give this example for this particular point. If we go to a doctor and the doctor suggests some medicines, and doctor just writes a prescription to us, and prescription mein he just writes a few medicines, and medicines ke baju mein he writes OD, BDS, TTS. Now, just because thanks to Google, it's very easy for us to understand the meaning of these abbreviations. But how to understand the meaning of these abbreviations is not that easy for people. Like OD means once in a day, BDS means twice a day, TDS means thrice a day. So if these kind of word specialist languages use too much in communication, again it acts as a barrier and it becomes difficult for the receiver of the message to understand. There are certain organizational barriers also, like the organizational policies, if they are too rigid, because of which people do not want to communicate with each other. Suppose if I have to talk to my superior, and for that I have to follow a channel of communication, I cannot meet him directly. Then, because of these organizational policies, what would happen? Just because I have to cross too many hurdles to meet the head of the organization, I would just resist communication. Then are status differences, especially in the army. I've observed people are so particular about their status that I am a superior, I am a senior, I'm not going to talk to this person, or even in various organizations, if the superiors are too conscious about their status that they avoid talking to their subordinates, it is actually going to act as a hindrance in the success of the organization, because of status differences, the people in the organization, they would resist communication. Organizational facilities. If there are not enough facilities in the organization to promote communication, because of that also communication would be affected. Wrong choice of channel. If we have selected a wrong choice or selected a wrong channel for communicating, say for example, if a person has to be dealt by face-to-face communication, and if we follow a written form of communication, it would lose its efficacy. Psychological barriers. This is what all of us face many a times. Selective listening. Say, for example, if a meeting is taking place, the head of the organization just walks in, and आते ही head जो है वो बोलने लगा कि आप लोग टाइम पे नहीं आ रहे हो, आपका काम प्रॉपर नहीं हो रहा है, आई एम नॉट हैप्पी, दिस इट्स नॉट गोइंग टू वर्क लाइक दिस, आई एम गोइंग टू I'm going to ensure that some of the employees will leave the organization. जब ये सब बातें चलेगी तो as employees, as staff, we would be like, oh, यही सब बातें वापस वही सब चालू हो गया. We would not be interested in listening. But उसके बाद पहले इतना सारा डांटने के बाद, if the head says no matter what, कहीं ना कहीं आज जो भी हमारा ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है, whatever we have achieved is just because of your efforts. So the management has decided to increase your salary. और जैसी सैलरी की बात आएगी, what would be the effect? Immediately, all the employees would lend a listening ear. So here the problem is that we are just interested in listening what we like, Otherwise, we do not want to listen. Next is premature evaluation. Premature evaluation means the message is not completed yet and we just try to evaluate. अच्छा, इसका यही मतलब होगा. Say for example, if I'm taking a class and if I tell the students, I enter the class and I say, I have decided that I would be, इतना मैंने बोला, and they would be like, "Man, कल आप नहीं आ रही हो?" I would be saying, then I would be like, "No, I meant I would be taking your exam tomorrow." So this is an example of premature evaluation whereby I'm still trying to complete the message and the audience has understood it in their way. There are emotional barriers also. Emotional barriers in the sense maybe that we are not in a good state of mind, and no matter how good the speaker is, how much efforts the speaker is trying to put in, we would not be able to understand it. Why? Because we are in an emotionally low side today and we do not want to do anything today. Then the attitude of employers are also an important factor. Many a times the employers are too rigid. They humiliate their their employees, or they do not want to listen to their employees. So gradually the employees, they lose their tempo and they are not in a position to express themselves. There are personal barriers also. Personal barriers in the form of, we all have a resistance to change. Why? Because we all prefer to live in our comfort zone. So if something new is going to be introduced, we would we would not accept it immediately. Like, let us take the example of these online classes these days. Like this digital shifting teaching to the digital platform was not is not something new. It was something that was very much emphasized from past few years, but people were not ready to change. They were like, नहीं नहीं, हमें तो वो ट्रेडिशनल क्लासरूम टीचिंग में ही मजा आता है, उसी में इफेक्ट क्रिएट होता है. But just because it is corona, what we could not learn in years, we have learned in months, because we always had that resistance to change, and now just because we do not have any option, we have to go in for it. Then there is lack of trust and confidence also. uh, People, if we do not trust the speaker, no matter how good the speaker is, no matter how well the speaker is expressing, just because we do not like the person, we do not trust him or her, we will not try to lend a listening ear to the communication process. Then there is lack of ability to communicate. Many a times, the person who is communicating may be very knowledgeable, but he does not have the ability to express it well. So if there is this ability to express is lacking, the ability to create an impact would also go away. I always say, to be a good teacher, we need not have very good degrees or good marks or whatever. We need to be good at expressing ourselves. If we are good at we are good at expressing ourselves, if we are good at understanding the students, we can definitely excel as a good teacher. To be a good teacher, I don't need a good profile myself, but yes, I need to be good at expressing myself. The next is inattention, most common problem. People are present, people are trying to show that they are listening, but they are not attent. They are like, most of the time, oh my God, when is it going to end? Kitna samay ho gaya? This is the kind of attitude people have. Now, how to overcome these communication barriers? Problems are there, but this does not mean that we cannot overcome these. We can definitely overcome these. How? First is shortening the line of communication. By shortening the line of communication, we need to reduce the number of intermediaries who are coming in the communication process. जितना direct communication होगा between the speaker and the receiver, उतना ही वो अच्छा होगा. जितनी intermediaries कम होगी, उतना ही confusion कम होगा. We need to use simple and meaningful language. जितनी simple language होगी, जितने अच्छे simple meaningful words होंगे, उतना ही उसका impact होगा. We need to develop patience to listen and understand others. Whenever a person is speaking, rather than expressing immediately or being responsive immediately, we need to listen, we need to understand, then we need to give our views. We need to keep it short. जितना कम बोलोगे, अच्छा बोलोगे, उतना ज़्यादा पसंद किए जाओगे. ज़्यादा लंबा बोलने में आपका कभी impact नहीं create हो सकता. Utilization of feedback. Whenever we get any kind of feedback, that should be utilized well for improving, bringing about improvements in oneself. We need to develop mutual trust between the speaker and the receiver of the message. जितना trust होगा, उतना ही communication effective होगा. We need to incorporate non-verbal communication for effectiveness. The more impact we need to create for our verbal communication, for that we need to incorporate non-verbal communication in it. Communicate to express and not to impress. Communication is a way of expression and not impressing. आपका expression अच्छा होगा, आप में confidence होगा, सामने वाला अपने आप ही impress हो जाएगा. Do not communicate keeping the word impress in your mind. Communicate keeping the word impress in your mind. So this brings an end to my presentation. Thank you so much for your patient listening. I just have a few assessment questions so that you can try to identify how well, how attentive you were during the session. First is, what is intrapersonal communication? I had given certain tips to improve English. So if you can just try to memorize 2 tips from that, I'm sure you can do well. Just name any 2 C's of communication. What are the barriers to effective communication? And the very first slide, whereby I spoke about the various zones. How many zones did I talk about in the initial slide? So I would try to wind up my session with these words, that communication is the lifeblood of any organization and should be made to remove, an effort should be made to remove the barriers and use communication as an effective tool for the success of the organization. So communication is the lifeblood not only of any organization, it's the lifeblood of our existence also. So if we want to excel as a person, if we want to create an impression, we need to learn the art of expression. And it is because of this that communication holds such an important role in our life. So let us try from today that we are going to improve our communication skills and we are going to be a better version of ourselves. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Your words are valuable for us as well as for our students. And sorry for instructing to you not to move your hands during the presentation. Being a teacher, I know the value.
I hope I followed it, sir.
Being a teacher, I know the importance of these activity, but in the online presentation, it creates some, irritating. So that is why I instruct you not to move your hands much. So I'm sorry again for this.
I have learned that from you, sir. Thank you so much for it, and I have taken it on a very positive note.
And thanks again. We learned a lot from you today as well, and hope we will meet again for a new topic. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you.